blow this up. Okay, so yesterday, what we did was we started with a horizon line, and then we added a vanishing point to the horizon line. We drew a line from the vanishing point, which was going to represent the top and the bottom of the building. Here's a more finished view, right? What we are going to do today is we're going to add some details to this, some windows, some doors. I'm going to show you a few different windows and doors, and also, which is not on this one, but we are going to do this and add some buildings behind. So we're going to start by adding some buildings behind the buildings, and then if you look at these windows and doors I have here, you can see there's some different kinds. A window could be just a piece of glass that's flush with the bricks, right? It could be that you can see through the glass into the apartment, and it could be that you don't really see through the glass, but it's got like a little recessed area. So we're going to kind of do a couple. I'm going to show you how to do the flat window and then the recessed window. Same thing with the doors. So we're going to do the doors, straight doors, like a little alcove here where you could walk in if it was raining, or even a parking garage if you were going to pull into there, okay? So those are things we're going to try to get done today. So we're going to start with those buildings behind the buildings, all right? Now, it is up to you. If you want to and you find it distracting, you can erase these lines because this was a part of the original horizon line. It is entirely possible that that part of that line will end up back in the final copy, depending on how tall you make your doors or how low you make your windows or all that. But as soon as you place the buildings, it's like I said, there's always a horizon line there, but sometimes the stuff just starts getting covered up. So we kind of covered up the horizon line on that side with the buildings. So to add the buildings behind the buildings, this is kind of where I said you guys aren't going to really be doing bird's eye view. You're not really going to be, for your final project, doing this type of view, but the concept of how this is done is very helpful to know, because these buildings behind the buildings are done in that bird's eye view kind of way. So let me explain. All you're going to do to start these buildings is you're going to start with the side of the building that faces you if you were standing in the street. So if you look at just this side, you'll see that it's just a straight rectangle. There's nothing that goes to a vanishing point. This is your original shape. It's the front side of the building, or the side that faces the street, that's going to utilize a vanishing point. So anywhere you want to add a building, all you have to do is draw like a square or a rectangle. You can use your ruler if you want, but I'm just going to draw it straight like we did in the bird's eye example. This is just practice. So I'm just picking a random spot, and I put like a straight rectangle with a horizontal top. And then I'm going to add the other side of the building, which faces the street, by utilizing the vanishing point from the top corner. I can make the building as wide or as skinny as I choose, depending on how far I make that line. And then I'm just going to finish it off with another vertical. It's bugging me, my corner isn't very straight. I said I wasn't going to use a ruler. Changed my mind. So buildings can be constructed with like boxes on top of boxes on top of boxes. If you think about like the Sears Tower, which I know like we're supposed to call Willis Tower now or whatever. If you think about that, that's just kind of like a bunch of boxes stuck together. So you can add more boxes on top of this box if you want this to look like a taller building. Or if you want it to look like it's a building behind the building, it's the same thing. I would just start with a rectangle or a square, add whatever I want to be the front side to the vanishing point, and now it kind of looks like a box on top of a box. So try a few, like, I don't know, 5, 6 boxes behind there. Try it out on your own, and I'm going to walk around and see if you guys have any issues from yesterday or today still. So grab me as you're walking by if you need something. I'm sorry, what?
How do you get this line in the middle?
The line in the middle? This one right here? Yes?
Yeah.
You just draw a straight horizontal line from edge to edge of the paper with your ruler.
But like,
So
how do you make sure it's in the middle?
it doesn't have to be perfectly in the middle. I mean, bless you. It just has to be kind of close. Great. Do you, Anthony, need those foam pieces?
Yeah, I've learned how to do it.
You're doing better? Because I have them right here and I just washed them out for you if you want one. I'm just going to put one on your desk in case you change your mind. It doesn't have to be perfect for We'll try your phone. Okay, so snag me if you're struggling with anything. We have to get more today. Oh, yeah, pencil there? Okay, so you need to do the eraser and pencil. I'm going to do one, and then you're going to do the next one. Okay? So I'll do this one so you can see. Left hand, and then raise the top in between the two. The bottom. And then when I put the line back, instead it used to go this way. I'm going to replace it with the line that goes horizontal. You try those. Okay, so top is fine. If you want to play and try, go ahead. We're going to add, eventually you can see where we're going. We're going to add a sidewalk. If you feel like you want to play with it, I really think like the best way to learn how to do something is to do it yourself. Okay? Okay, you guys look like you're doing fine. So let's go to some windows and doors and details and things like that. So the big thing to remember with one-point perspective is that anything that is on the side that faces you, the viewer, is not really in perspective, it's just straight. Hence the bird's eye view. We just started with straight shapes in one-point perspective. Anything that faces the street is going to end up being in perspective, utilizing a vanishing point, right? So we're going to start with the windows, and we're going to create the tops and the bottoms of the windows. I would like you to try to keep your windows above the horizon line, okay? So wherever your horizon line is, we're going to put the windows up here. So I'm going to put my ruler on my vanishing point, angle it up, and I can create the top and the bottom of my window. Now, you can choose what kind of windows. Do you want a big long window? Do you want a couple of short windows? Just one short window? The sides of the windows have got to be vertical. If you tilt them and you get your ruler crooked, it ends up looking more like an awning hanging off the building than a window. So this line right here, double and triple check and make sure it's really, really straight if you want it to look like it's on the face of the building. Says me with the crooked lines. This one's bugging me too. If you want your windows all to be in a row, like they look like they line up with each other, then you have to put the ruler back in the same place as you had it for the first window. So it would be a continuous, well, I shouldn't say continuous, like more like a dotted line. Now it's going to look like these buildings are the same and the windows are in a row. If you want to differentiate and make different windows, then you can choose different places to put the top and the bottom. So for this one, maybe I'll make this 2 windows instead of 1. And this one I won't have it fall in line, I'll just make it 1 big window, a big picture window, maybe. And like I said, in a perspective, there's lots of erasing, so just, you know, if your lines go too far, just kind of clean them up. If you want, like, later to get fancy and do like arched windows or something like that, you still set it up with the box. You start by setting it up with perspective, and then you just fill in the arch along the top and erase out those corners, and you get an arched window in perspective. So even things that don't have curves originally, or straight sides, will originally start with straight sides. That's just kind of a for fun thing. Make yourself a couple windows, 2 or 3 windows, because we're going to play with leaving some of them just as they are, and we're going to recess some. started playing with it, and most of you got pretty close. But there's one kind of common thing that I'm seeing, which is the corner line. So if you look at, let's do this kind first. All right, so the first one we're gonna do is gonna be more like there either is like no glass or the glass is clear and you can see into the person's apartment, okay? So I saw a lot of people like attempting this, but what I want you guys to double check is if you attempted it or if you didn't at all attempt it, is that this line needs to be horizontal, not angled. And a lot of times when people do this, they get this on an angle. So if I'm going to turn this window here into a deep window from the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to go like this, and then before I make my line, I'm going to double check and see if I'm straight, which I'm not completely. So I got to make sure I'm straight to the horizon line, and then I'm going to make the mark. So if you attempted it, double check that. If you didn't attempt it, try it. Just make a horizontal mark from the upper right-hand corner as far as the window goes. So what you do when you do this and you're seeing inside is you're creating another wall that faces you. So this one is a little bigger so you can see it better with the detail. This is the original horizontal mark. Now this wall here is facing me on the street and the ceiling is flat. So if I want to add a detail like a light to the ceiling, it's flat, so I'll just keep it horizontal. The top of it horizontal. And if I want to make something on this wall like a picture frame, it's facing me now, so I just make it straight, a straight shape. Nothing is in perspective. That wall is facing me. So I can just free draw them. Here's some pictures. Shading sometimes helps, which is why when you guys do your final piece, I'm going to have you add a little bit of shading. The trick with this is I'm going to ask you guys when you do shade, usually I make you guys make lines disappear when you shade, but this time I need to see the lines because I need to know you understood perspective. So I just have you shade lightly so as to not cover up the lines. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to just recess it a little bit so that it doesn't go all the way back like the tunnel, but you just kind of get a window ledge. And window ledges are kind of fun because when you get a window ledge, you can put stuff on the window ledge, like a plant, like that, with detail. We just got to change one little thing. So we'll flip to this one. Okay, so now I'm going to take this window here and I'm going to recess it like one of these. So the reason I wanted you to draw your windows above the horizon line is because you'll notice that your lines are going to change when you're dealing with things above the horizon line versus below the horizon line. When things are above the horizon line, you're going to see like the ceiling. You're going to see stuff that's up, but you won't see the bottom because it's above your eye level. When you get to the doorways, since they're below eye level, you will see the floor, but you won't be able to see the ceiling. So it kind of switches depending upon its location to the horizon line. So we're still above the horizon line, so we're still going to create the ceiling. And you're going to do this the same way from the upper right-hand corner. Make sure your ruler is straight and create a horizontal line. But this time we're going to make the line shorter. So you can either just draw it and stop, or you can draw the whole thing and then you can go back and erase out the part that you don't want to use. So I want my window alcove to be just like, I don't know, like look like it's about a foot deep. So I'm going to erase out or only draw the line basically as thick as I want this wall to appear. From there, I need my vanishing point, I am going to make, from that corner, a line that goes straight down, and that will end up being the wall that faces me. And then from that corner that was created from that, I'm going to draw a line that goes to the vanishing point. So now I've created the ceiling and the wall that faces me, and then the glass is back here. And again, a little bit of lighting or a little bit of shading can really help the light source, you know, to figure out. It's not necessary, it's correct, but visually your brain can process it better sometimes when you add a little shading. So you have one more window. Try to do another recessed window on your own. What's up? Yeah, 5 minutes or less, okay? And now if you want to add and play with some details, you can do things like put a little plant on the ledge. It's above the eye level, so I'm not gonna see the bottom of the plant, but I'll see the top of it. So I could just be like, oh hey, let's put some flowers in here. Cute. Play with some details, and then I can show you guys how to do a balcony and stuff too. Make sure that line stays working. time you look at someone's below eye level, you're just seeing the top. I'll show you. What do you think? It's just. How's that? It's okay. Your top of your window is still above the horizon line, so you're still going to. Oh, you may get, because this part's below, you may see a little bit of the ledge. So like. Okay. So the last thing I want to show you with the windows is like a balcony, if you want to add a balcony. Or the other thing you can add instead of a balcony is kind of like a ledge that sticks out. So a balcony and a ledge that sticks out, they're pretty much just like the bird's eye view. You're going to start with this original shape that faces you, which is just a free-drawn square, and then you're going to make it disappear to the vanishing point. The hardest part about this is figuring out the placement to make it believable. So sometimes you kind of have to play like, oh, should I put the square here? Should I put the square here? You know, sometimes you have to do it a couple of times to get it just right. But for the window ledge, I always do it so that the corners of the square and the window are touching each other. So I just start by drawing this square so that the corners are touching. And then from there, I do just like I did for the bird's eye buildings. Connect. Connect. I'm going to extend the top window a little bit. Right? So if you can imagine, it's really just like one of these skyscrapers. It's just like this. It's just I put it in a different place. So I have to finish then the bottom of the building by staying parallel to the original shape. So it'll be cap it off like that. And then, this is where it gets tricky, you want it to match up with that, be parallel. So I put the ruler on that line, which is the bottom of the square, and then I pull back here until I get to that point there, And it's just an itty bitty little line. This is when I wish I had a mechanical pencil actually, because mechanical pencils for this are great because they're so thin. So sometimes, depending on how small your detail is, sometimes it's pretty tricky to do. The only difference between a window ledge that I would add and a balcony that I would add would be the placement of the original square. A window ledge kind of looks like it goes under. A balcony overlaps. So when I add a balcony, I do the same thing. My original square just overlaps the window instead of kisses corners. But it is the same thing. I start with the square, however big I want that balcony to be. I connect all the corners just like I did with bird's eye view. Whoops. Just like I did with bird's eye view. Finish off the shape so that this and this are parallel. And then use my ruler, pull back, finish off the bottom. And then again, it's in the details. So if I want that to look like a window ledge, I can put a plant on it. If I want this to look like a balcony, I can add like a railing. The railing, if I do like a wrought iron, it's just vertical. So I just make a bunch of lines vertically. I can add some shading to the underside. So it's the exact same thing. It's just the placement of the original square. The first one kisses corners with the window. The second one overlaps. So try a ledge and a balcony. And then we're going to go to doors. Try a ledge or a balcony. Let me know. I'm in trouble. You know you're having trouble. Sometimes you're having trouble. You don't know you're having trouble. You're like, man, that looks weird. You don't know how to fix it. So if you look at it and you're like, that looks good, all right. Let me know. I'll help you. I'll show everybody. I had a request, somebody wanted to see the awning. Did I put an awning on any of these yet so you could have a finished view? No, okay. All right, so an awning is really going to be the same thing except instead of a square, awnings are usually triangles. So how about if I put it on this window right here? So the original shape that I'm going to put above this will be a triangle instead. So it'll be straight here, a triangle shape here. Can you see that? Let me zoom in. So it's, instead of putting a square there, I put a triangle. And now it's like a triangular building. I will add the top and the bottom. And you can change the pitch of the angle. Like if I made this kind of a small awning, but if I just change the angle of this, it'll stick out more. You can play with that. But I'm going to try to match this angle for the end of it, so it looks believable. I don't know if I'll get the underside. Let's see. I will get a little bit of the underside in this one. I picked like the tiniest. And then this bottom is horizontal. So I could add some shading to that. Does that make sense, Jose? Mm-hmm. It's not a very good awning, but you get the idea. It's like this small, so it's like hard for me to draw the detail. Okay, are you guys ready to move to doors? Yes, yes? Okay. So this time for the doors, I want you to try to keep your doors completely underneath the horizon line. Okay? So try to stay away from this original line. And you, again, can choose what you want your doors to look like. Do you want double doors? Do you want a garage door? Do you want a single door opening? Do you want them to line up? Do you want them to be different heights? You can choose the details, but I'm just going to draw the top this time and not the bottom, because the bottom is going to end up being flush with the ground. So basically, I already have that line drawn. Oh, that's not a good example, because it's recessed. There's my flat door. There's a better example. So the bottom of the door is already drawn because I'm going to use that line that was the bottom of the building. So all I need to do for doors is then, after I've created the tops of the doors so that they line up with the vanishing point, Then I just need to make sure that I keep them straight. Double and triple check, because if you get it crooked, this vertical line, it'll look like your door is either leaning back or tilting forward. So check it with the edges of your buildings. If you want to do a double door instead of just one, then you can just add a line in between the two. You know what I mean? This is the wall. You should be saying that's all the wall. And then just put that vertical line. We're shaded in so we don't see it. Ooh. Darn it. I think we're out of time for today. Alright, so we'll finish our doors, our trees and stuff on Monday and move on to two perspective on Monday too. Doesn't mean you can't come in here. The room will be open. But if you need me, you might have to look at another room for me.